Hello. Okay, I'm sorry, I don't have this. I must not have this off there good enough. Well, that's embarrassing. As you can see, I've just now opened this telescope. This little cover comes off somehow. Supposed to. You take this cover off, and once you get that, let's crack this out there so we can see what we're doing. What's the deal here? Well, I've never seen anything like that before. That will not come off of there. Okay, well, I have to figure that out and show that to you in another video. Anyway, your eyepiece goes inside here. And when you're looking at an object in the night sky, you put your eye down here at the eyepiece and you rotate these little things, these little turns. Let's see if we can focus on that. This is what focuses the eyepiece. When the eyepiece is in there, say this little eyepiece here is in there, you open up your eyepiece. That's your little 20 millimeter eyepiece. Let's see if we can focus on that. Get a better view. That's a 20 millimeter eyepiece. I can't talk that. That slides into the little hole up here in your focuser. It slides down in there. And you only have that little black part sticking up, and that's what you put your eye up to look through the telescope. And the way a Newtonian telescope works, let's say I'm looking at the moon. Moonlight is coming down from the sky. It's coming into the top of this telescope up here. It goes inside there, and you notice that little secondary? This is called a secondary mirror. This little space right in here, your primary is that thing down there you're seeing the reflection off of. That is your primary mirror. That's a 76 millimeter mirror in this telescope. It has a little secondary, smaller mirror. And the way the mathematics and the algorithm and all the stuff that makes this stuff work happens. Let's get that. I'm going to get that as close to yeah, I'm trying to, okay. It's not showing what I'm trying to show. There we go. Light comes in through this. It bounces off, obviously, of that right here in the center. But most of the light enters the telescope, goes down through the tube, it runs down this way, of course, at the speed of light, reflects off your primary mirror, comes up to the top, up here, and reflects off that secondary mirror, and comes up through your eyepiece. And your eyepiece is what focuses that image to your eyesight so you can see the object you want to see. All Newtonian telescopes work the same way. Now, there are other types of telescopes, and we'll talk about that later in this blog. There are refracting telescopes. There are catadioptic telescopes. There's Maksutov telescopes. There's just all kinds of telescopes available out there. I've been able in my time in astronomy, I have been blessed with looking through some absolutely spectacular telescopes. My 18-inch Newtonian was a kicker. It was an incredible piece of equipment. It was a research grade telescope. When I bought it, it was about a $10,000 telescope with all the accessories that I bought. And when I sold it for about $7,500. So it probably cost me about $4,000 to own that telescope for 4 or 5 years until I sold it. It's life. You know how life is. Life gets in the way of a lot of our interests. So this is just a little introduction to a neat little telescope. If you're looking for a Christmas gift for a child, say 7 years up, 6 might be a little low. This would be great for a 9 to a 12-year-old if you're wanting to buy a 9 to 12-year-old telescope for Christmas. I would go down as low as possibly 7. My granddaughter, of course, is 8 years old. When she gets hers here, when we get back Sunday, she'll get her telescope. I'm going to buy her the finder. I've got a few finders I'm going to try at home, see if I can get anything to work. If not, I'm going to buy her something. But let me just highly tell you so far, just looking at the telescope, I'm impressed. I think this is a neat little telescope. Most telescopes you see offered in stores, like I mentioned earlier, Fry's or some of these places, or Sears, or any of these places that you go and see a telescope, they're crap. Don't get impressed when you see a refracting telescope out there that says 500 power. Yeah, in your dreams. That doesn't happen. You're not going to get 500 or 1,000 power. Or I've seen them advertise 1,500 power telescope. Holy smokes. A $10,000 telescope I may have gotten twice in the 1,000 range of magnification, maybe twice in 4 or 5 years that I owned it. That's just how astronomy is, folks. When you get into astronomy, it always happens. If you get interested in astronomy, you start out with a small telescope, probably. You always get what we call aperture fever. Every astronomer that ever lives knows what aperture fever is. You start out with something like this, and you graduate from telescope to telescope to telescope until you get settled on an instrument that you are going to use regularly as your main instrument. Most astronomers have a quick look telescope that's something they take out like this, and just to get a quick peek at Jupiter or something, or at the moon, whatever. But don't get impressed with these other telescopes that are advertised in these toy stores. They're basically toys. There are a number of good brands. Meade Instruments makes some good telescopes. Celestron makes good telescopes. There's a whole bunch of others that make decent telescopes. So we'll do a blog in the Rambling Observer as we get closer to Christmas, maybe. I'll try to do a blog here that'll explain to you the different types of telescopes that you can get and look at different options. It all has to do with what you're going to do with the telescope. It all has to do with your budget. I had a lady one time ask me if $300 was too much to buy her kid a telescope with. I looked at her and I said, well, ma'am, I said, you got to understand how optics works. Glass is expensive when you're talking optics. My wife's here in an optical convention right now, having to do with eyeglasses and stuff. But anyway, the thing you have to understand about astronomy and the expensive glass of telescope, that's why people think these telescopes are so expensive. A good astronomical telescope, $2,700 is nothing. I mean, I know people that get into real expensive telescopes. I told that lady, I said, ma'am, I said, if you're going to spend $300 on a child telescope, don't. You're not going to get much. Now, this may be an exception. I think I found a less than $100 telescope that's good. That's a pretty good little product. Dobsonian telescopes are great. One of the greatest inventions that ever came into astronomy. But I told her that day when she asked me that, I said, ma'am, I've got eyepieces that cost $700 for an eyepiece to go into a telescope. And when you've got it's nothing. There are eyepieces now that are probably $900, $1,000 easy. Glass is expensive. And you're talking about high precision scientific instruments is what you're dealing with when you really get into astronomy. You start spending money on a telescope. I doubt that I'll ever own another research grade $10,000 telescope. Right now, I've got a little Celestron 8 SE that's got some issues I'm trying to work out. I'm going to be possibly buying another Celestron. I've got my eye on the Celestron 8-inch. Mine just went blank. Mine's an SE series telescope. There's another model up. It's probably going to run around $2,500 or so. I don't know the exact price. Once I get my Casita trailer paid for and get the generator and the solar outfit we're going to have to power our battery, recharge our battery with, and all this other stuff we're going to be getting for that trailer. I'm going to be investing some money in, as I can save it up in buy another telescope. One of the things we're going to do with our Casita, I just love this. This is going to be an exciting thing about it. My wife and I wanted a Casita ever since we've been married. Well, ever since we were married for about our 7th anniversary. We saw back in 1982 somewhere, I don't know if it was at a RV show or what, but we saw a little Casita and fell in love with it. Well, we've never had that kind of money. We don't have that kind of money today. But what my wife and I have done, we've cashed in some stocks and bonds and retirement accounts and put a nest egg of money together, and I'm still trying to struggle to get the last $3,000 for this thing. We've got a brand new 17-foot Casita Spirit Deluxe with all the bells and whistles. I mentioned, I can't think of anything else that they put on this thing that I haven't already had it, with the exception of the solar. I did have it wired for the solar, so I can buy a ZAMP solar kit and just plug the thing in and it will work. And we can run our batteries and stuff as long as there's good sunlight, indefinitely. But I'm going to also be getting a generator so I can run that. You can't run the air conditioner off of the solar. It's just too much power draw. And there's a small Honda version generator that I'm eyeing. It's about it's in the $1,000 range for the 2200, I believe, series. And the neat thing with that one is you can buy a second generator that plugs into it. You run the two in parallel, and it's about another $1,000. And then you've got about 4,000 watts of power, and you can run whatever you want to run. The problem with the smaller generator, that the first generator I'm probably going to want to bang is the Honda 2200. If you're running your air conditioner in that Casita, I'm going to be doing that a lot in Oklahoma at our astronomy club. Let me tell you, I'm just so excited about this. I bought me I've got a lease site at the Texas Astronomical Society Observatory in Atoka, Oklahoma. I'm renting this site. It's a 20-foot by 20-foot site up there from our club, and I have bought the improvements that a guy named Tom Noe made on that site. He put in a nice pad, not a crack in his pad. Looks like it was laid yesterday. He put in a really good, well-made pad. I can tell. Concrete pad. You put your telescope and stuff on there, and you're not wading around in dirt and mud and everything. And it's got a pier in that pad that was done by a guy named Stallings. It's a Stallings pier, and that guy was an engineer, very well versed in concrete work and everything. He designed this Stallings pier, they call it. This designed to keep that pier from moving. In Oklahoma and Texas, we've got a problem with our foundations. They do this number. Every time it rains, our doors don't get stuck around stuff. The pier, the Stallings Pier at our Atoka site in Oklahoma, is great. It's not going to move at all. And the nice thing about those kind of piers are that when you walk around the concrete, the pier is actually separate. It's got a grass area between it and dirt area between it and the concrete pad that you can set your telescopes and stuff up on. Well, if you put a telescope on this pier, when you're walking around that concrete, you don't see any motion. If I set my tripod up out there and I walk around that concrete, you can see motion. You'd be amazed at what you can see when somebody's walking on a sidewalk and you're sighting something in on a telescope. You'll see every footstep. The telescope just literally vibrates, and you see that vibration. By the way, the more power you're using, the more that vibration is going to go crazy. But anyway, the other thing that's kind of exciting about this is I have a couple of health issues, including neuropathy and fibromyalgia. Don't get me started. It's my curse. But anyway, I have these issues that don't like weather changes. And so there's an astronomy village that I've been to before, the Chiefland the Chiefland Star Party in Chiefland, Florida, near Chiefland, Florida. It's outside of Chiefland, Florida. They have an actual astronomy village there, and it's set up just for astronomers like me. Well, they have 11 RV sites available for amateur astronomers with RVs. They actually have 2 more. They're for 50 amp sites. My little trailer is going to only need 30 amps. So I'm joining them in January. And you know where this is going because I've got this this whole planned out. I'm looking real forward to taking my granddaughter with this little telescope and my telescopes, and I'm going to be doing a lot of photography of Milky Way type photography and wide star fields and things. I've got a nice little setup at home that I haven't even tested it yet, but I've got a nice star drive that tracks the stars. You put your camera on it, it tracks the motion of the stars perfectly. And I'm going to be doing a lot of astronomy using my Canon T6i and Rockinon 14 millimeter lens and some other lenses that I've got. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But one of the things I'm really excited about having the Casita is I can go to star parties, like the Texas Star Party. I can be like, this is like my first class hotel room that I haul around with me. Only problem is we don't have anything to tow it with yet. So we're going to get our trailer in January. We may have to have them deliver it because I don't have anything to tow it with. So we'll see how that works out. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this first episode of the Rambling Observer. And I'll tell you later on how I came up with the name Rambling Observer. It's going to be probably a sticker on my trailer that'll say ramblingobserver.com. We're naming our Casita. These little Casitas are named. Everybody's really into these things. They all have names. Ours is going to be Skeeter, because my wife and I were high school sweethearts, and our football mascot was the Fighting Skeeters. So our trailer is going to be called Skeeter. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this quick, brief introduction. I may do some video Friday when I meet Robert Reeves. We'll look at his observatory. I'm excited to see his neat little observatory he's got. The whole building slides off of the telescope. It's really a unique idea, a unique design. It's not anything new. I've seen these before, but I'm looking forward to seeing his setup, because I may be someday doing something like that. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. Come back if you will. I don't know. I'm very new to YouTube, so I've got to figure all this stuff out, how this all works. But I understand you can subscribe. Please subscribe to my page and all that other stuff, and we'll talk about all that later. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you will consider this little telescope. And we'll do another episode here soon where we'll actually go out and observe with Isabella, and we'll look at. I'll try to get the camera attached to this. I've got a little device I can do that. I can put my phone up to it, and we'll either do some video or we'll do some shots of the moon and stuff and let you see what we're seeing. But we'll do a little introduction to this. If this is a great idea, if you're wanting to get a child involved in astronomy, and if you have a child who's already interested in astronomy and you want to buy them a telescope without going broke, you always get what you pay for. But this little telescope, I think, is well worth the $60 that I paid for it. And I'm going to put, it's going to be probably $100 or so or more to put a solar filter on this. I'm going to spend probably more for a finder setup than the telescope costs. But all those little accessories will be added later. So anyway, hope you have a good evening. And I hope you come back. Hope you'll come back and subscribe to this blog, and we'll see you later. Talk to you later. Bye.